Welcome to Politics Playground. The cradle of civilization consists of modern-day Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Palestine, and Israel. This area, one of the birthplaces of human civilization, has records of farming dating back to 9000 BC. After the Arab Spring of 2011, the Middle East and Arab states have been plagued with civil war and political unrest. Grabbing the headlines today, the Israel-Palestine conflict threatens to send the whole area into all-out war. A deep hatred for each other stemming from ancient religious scriptures means a peaceful resolution is very unlikely. And as other countries attempt to get involved and assist either side in their conquest for power and ownership of the debated area, we delve into what the area may look like in a year's time. As Israel charges into Rafah, their objectives become more apparent. Many doubted their ruthlessness, but we at Politics Playground did not. We have been discussing their targets in the area. Many of us believe their bombing campaigns have been a strategic way of demolishing Gaza, clearing the way for future building projects to extend Israeli land and allow them to live in the land that is supposedly promised to them by God. So, if the Israeli government has their way, in a year's time Palestine will be no more. We will quickly pause our article and remind you that donating to Palestine, supporting their people who are under siege and facing starvation, is something that cannot be underestimated. The biggest threat to Israel's war is now the changing opinion of the world's leaders. Many of those who previously supported Netanyahu and his government due to recent attacks are now deciding that he has gone too far, and on the world stage it is becoming less fashionable to support Israel. As well as evolving alliances and strategic partnerships, coupled with advancements in military technology and asymmetrical warfare tactics, the Palestinian armed forces could potentially pose a formidable challenge to Israeli dominance. Moreover, growing international support for the Palestinian cause, coupled with heightened scrutiny of Israeli policies, could further tilt the balance in favor of Palestinian aspirations. However, the path to victory remains fraught with obstacles, including internal divisions within the Palestinian leadership, logistical constraints, and the overwhelming military superiority of the Israeli Defense Forces. As tensions persist and negotiations falter, the prospect of a Palestinian military resurgence underscores the enduring complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the elusive quest for lasting peace in the region. One thing the Israeli government must also take into account, and could play a major role in their defeat of Hamas, is the changing public opinion from within Israel. In a striking display of disillusionment with their government's policies and leadership, an increasing number of Israeli citizens are vocalizing discontent and taking to the streets in protest. Frustrated by what they perceive as a lack of progress on critical issues such as security, socioeconomic inequality, and the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict, many Israelis are demanding accountability and meaningful change from their elected officials. From Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, grassroots movements and civil society organizations are mobilizing, drawing attention to issues ranging from corruption scandals to the erosion of democratic norms. As public trust in traditional political institutions wanes, there is a palpable sense of urgency among Israelis to reclaim their nation's democratic principles and forge a more inclusive and equitable future. Yet amidst this wave of dissent, the Israeli government faces mounting pressure to address the grievances of its citizens and restore faith in the nation's democratic institutions. As we have seen already in Russia, revolting citizens can seriously halt progress when trying to defeat an enemy and draw the army away from their original task. It also gives hope to the Palestinians that desperately need something to cling on to as they try to defeat their oppressors. Let's go back in time and inform you more about the area and where the issue stems from. But before we do, if you are enjoying the video and appreciate the journalism we do, please feel free to subscribe and drop us a like. Against the backdrop of post-World War II geopolitical upheaval and simmering tensions in British-mandated Palestine, the United Nations General Assembly voted to partition the land into separate Jewish and Arab states, thereby laying the groundwork for the establishment of the modern state of Israel. The historic resolution, known as UN Resolution 181, envisioned an independent Jewish state alongside an Arab one, with Jerusalem designated as a separate international entity. Despite passionate debates and objections from Arab leaders, the partition plan was ultimately approved, marking a watershed moment in the quest for Jewish self-determination after centuries of persecution and diaspora. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was formally declared by Zionist leader David Ben-Gurion, setting off jubilant celebrations among Jews worldwide, while triggering a bitter and protracted conflict with Arab nations and Palestinian inhabitants who rejected the partition and asserted their own claims to the land. The events surrounding Israel's creation continue to shape the contours of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the broader dynamics of the Middle East to this day. While the creation of the State of Israel in 1948 was hailed by many as a historic milestone in the Jewish quest for self-determination, it also sowed the seeds of a protracted and deeply entrenched conflict that continues to reverberate throughout the Middle East. Critics argue that the decision to establish Israel in the heart of the Arab world, without adequately addressing the rights and aspirations of the indigenous Palestinian population, was a grave and short-sighted mistake. The partition plan outlined by the United Nations failed to account for the complexities of the region's religious, cultural, and political landscape, setting the stage for decades of violence, displacement, and diplomatic impasse. Indeed, the establishment of Israel ignited a bitter and ongoing struggle for land, resources, and national identity, fueling animosities that have endured through multiple wars, intifadas, and failed peace initiatives. Israeli settlers are civilian communities built by Israel throughout Israeli-occupied territories. Populated by Israeli citizens, they have been around since the Six-Day War in 1967, and these settlements are deemed to be illegal under international law. The expansion of settlements often involves the confiscation of Palestinian land and resources, leading to displacement of Palestinian communities and creating a source of tension and conflict. Settlements are often protected by the Israeli military and are frequently flashpoints for violence against Palestinians. Further, the presence of settlements and Jewish-only bypass roads creates a fragmented Palestinian territory, seriously hindering economic development and freedom of movement for Palestinians. Since the war in Gaza has escalated, the settlements have begun to pop up more frequently. As the world is distracted by the war, the Israeli people have already started creating a new land for themselves, cornering Palestinians into smaller pockets. Predicting the future of the ever-turbulent Middle East is a challenging endeavor, yet amidst ongoing geopolitical shifts and regional dynamics, several trends may shape the landscape in the coming year. With the fallout from the Arab Spring still reverberating and long-standing conflicts like the Syrian civil war and Yemeni crisis showing few signs of abating, the region remains a cauldron of instability. Moreover, the ramifications of the United States' withdrawal from Afghanistan and the resurgence of the Taliban could embolden extremist groups across the region, posing new security challenges. Additionally, as countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia vie for regional influence, tensions may continue to simmer, exacerbated by proxy conflicts and sectarian rivalries. Meanwhile, the burgeoning normalization agreements between Israel and some Arab states could herald a new era of cooperation, while exacerbating divisions within the Palestinian territories. Against this backdrop, the Middle East in a year's time may be characterized by a delicate balance of power, punctuated by periodic eruptions of violence and diplomatic maneuvering as nations navigate an uncertain and volatile landscape. With the Biden administration in the United States and the British elections both coming up this year, and both parties expected to be booted out, diplomatic dynamics in the region may undergo significant recalibration, depending on the new government's views and tactics for resolving the Middle Eastern issues. The aftermath of the devastating conflict in Gaza and the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Yemen will continue to demand international attention and action. Furthermore, as countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran jockey for regional influence amidst evolving alliances, the specter of proxy conflicts looms large. Meanwhile, the energy landscape will likely experience shifts with implications for both global markets and regional dynamics. Against this backdrop, the next year in the Middle East is likely to be characterized by a delicate interplay of diplomacy, conflict resolution efforts, and ongoing regional rivalries, underscoring the region's enduring complexity and resilience in the face of formidable challenges. Once again, we hope you have enjoyed this video. We always appreciate your engagement and opinions, so please leave a comment and tell us your views. Goodbye from everyone at the Politics Playground. Don't forget to subscribe for more international news.